Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
From the Fifth Quarter Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to the Coaching Youth Hoops Podcast.
They're playing basketball.
Here's our hosts, Steve Collins, and Bill Flitter.
All right, welcome to Coach Collins's voice in the middle
Much
of
better than it was, Coach.
Coaching Youth Hoops. Yes, I know. Wasn't it hilarious? So for listeners, I sent Coach a voicemail a week ago. We were gonna do a podcast or two, and it was horrible, wasn't it? It was horrible.
It was bad. Yeah, we can't. Yeah.
So on top of coaching and a cold, it was shots. So this is
pretty good.
Not
pretty good
too
today.
bad.
So
not too bad.
Yeah.
It's just
got a good voice for radio today. It's your deep.
I always say it's the Statler brothers. Like
the Statler brothers. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Who was that other DJ way back in the 60s?
Wolfgram.
One of our listeners will have that.
Yes, put it in the show notes. But before we get into our podcast, Coach, we got some sponsors we're excited to talk about, right?
Yeah. Coaches, go check out Game Changer. You can find that at coachingyouthhoops.com / no, I got that wrong, Coach.
You did.
Scratch that. It's gc.com /coaching youth hoops, gc.com /coaching youth hoops. For all of your in-game stats needs, if you're not using it and you're wondering why your team can't figure out why your team is maybe not doing so well, go to gc.com /coaching youth hoops. They will give you some insight, maybe that you are missing things you need to improve on your team. Full stats package. Not only that, you can also have anyone who can't make it to a game watch live. Again, Game Changer, gc.com /coaching youth hoops.
They'll even break down highlight clips.
Yeah, their new feature is a breakdown.
Which
is absolutely amazing.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then Coaching Youth Hoops has something, probably one of the questions we get asked the most about, right?
Yeah, exactly. So drills. So we are launching a new drill finder. So, we already have the offensive finder, right? We also have the practice plan builder now. Third tool is we're launching the drill finder. And if you go to coachingyouthhoops.com /drills, again, coachingyouthhoops.com /drills, put in what you're looking for, what your needs are, and then we'll spit back our suggestions, stuff we've used, third-party stuff that we absolutely love. There's a lot of good information. But at the end of the day, what we've done, there's just so much information out there, and we've narrowed it down to stuff we use, stuff we know that works, stuff shared within our community, so you can stop hunting and then experimenting. The experimenting has already been done. We know what works. Again, coachingyouthhoops.com /drills.
Awesome. It's Wolfman Jack.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry,
I had a
I had to look it up. Remember Wolfman Jack? I think he was based in California too, right? I think.
I think he was. I think Southern California. I
Yeah,
think you're
Southern
right.
California. All right, sorry for the listeners, but I had to answer the question. All right, so what's our topic today, Coach?
So this came in from one of our community members. It's do I have open practices or closed practices to parents? So do we invite parents into our practices or closed door? Where do we start with this one? So what do you do? I know you probably have an opinion because you're at the high school level, which I
So
don't think you talk.
that's a totally different world. Like
Yeah,
you're not going to go watch your kid practice in college. You're probably not going to go watch your kid practice in high school. So that's different
yeah,
because we're talking youth. At this,
yeah.
you know, I never had a problem if the parents stayed at the youth level. I mean, it's just
Hmm.
different. It's just, I mean, first of all, they're their ride.
Right.
You know, you got an hour practice and maybe they live 35 minutes away. It's like, we'll just stay here and do some work and go in here, whatever. You can stay and watch. So sometimes I even grabbed them as helpers. So I'm again, if it's a super
Yeah.
competitive and I mean, there's obviously exceptions to this rule, I think, at the youth level. But I mean, a kindergartner's going to expect they're going to stay, or a second grader is going to expect they're going to stay. So, maybe when you're getting to late middle school, they aren't going to want you around. So I think there's that line. Elementary, I would say it's okay. Middle school, I think you got to read your kid because part of it is they don't want you to stay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
They're in that stage of separation. They're in that stage of, so I think that's the big, and I got, obviously when they get to high school, college, it's like, you're not going to come watch. I
No, I'm
mean,
not gonna go.
you don't
Yeah.
come watch me teach algebra 2. Like, you're just not going to do that. I don't care, but I think the district and the admin would care, but
I'm gonna have problems with that.
yeah. So I think that's the issue is like part of it. You got to think about it as a term. I mean, we've both been parents of players. It's like part of it's
Yeah.
you're the ride. I wish Uber had been around when my kids were little because I would have dropped them off and gone and Ubered for an hour and then picked them up. Kind of made a little cash on the side. But anyway, especially on the other side.
It's a fascinating concept.
Isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, seriously, because you drop them off for an hour and a half practice. It takes 30 minutes to get home, 30 minutes to get back. You're better off turning an Uber on and going driving for 30
Yeah.
minutes. There you go.
Yeah, I
There's
guess because you can pick your destinations, right? Because so it could be shorter.
right.
Yeah, interesting. I always enjoyed watching my kids practice, right? Just because it allowed me, I don't know, just to see them perform, right?
Right.
In a different way. And although I didn't, of course, I kept my mouth quiet and I was always from a distance. And a lot of times, as you mentioned, it was like it took me longer to get to practice than it
Right.
would, right? So I was like, okay, I'll just stay and watch. Sometimes I would sit in the car, of course, but I think this question came up of, okay, that, having it open and the parents are quiet and they're not saying anything is one thing, but then when you have your child who's making a mistake and they're looking to mom and dad who's sitting over in the stands watching practice, or obviously the parent is vocal during practice.
Right.
Right? The troubled parents, we'll call them, right? The ones that are judging you from the sidelines based on, because they're the best coach sitting in the stands, right?
They are.
So
They are.
yeah,
So I think this leads into, first of all, our new sponsor. So why don't you talk about them? And I think this is about all the mental part. It's about
yeah.
I mean, I think it leads into that a little bit, and then we can dive into that aspect of it. But why don't you tell everybody? I'm super excited about this. And you said
Yeah,
use it with my
super
team.
excited to, one of the things that, if you listen to our podcast before, we've talked a lot about mental health, and we've partnered with a company called Curve. And if you go to coachingyouthhoops.com/health, they're giving a free assessment to your team. It's mainly for high school, eighth grade and above. That's where you get the most impact, but it's health, it's nutrition. They'll do assessments. They have some AI tools for the physical aspect as well that you can do. Basically, think about it as a mini combine that will then give you feedback where does my team stand? What can I do to give them the little boost that they need, or that, gain an edge? We obviously practice a lot of X's and O's, but when it comes to the body and the health, the physical and mental health, how much time are we putting in? Curve has made that accessible, kind of pro level assessments. They've made it accessible to high school. So go to coachingyouthhoops.com/health to get your free assessment for your team. And they've made it available to the end of the basketball season for whatever your season is for all coaches. So go check it out. coachingyouthhoops.com/health.
Free trial and limited time. So go over and check it out.
Yeah.
So I think, again, that's I think part of it is the mental health part. Like, I mean, some kids won't like that. I mean, I think there's that fine balance between, I don't want to call helicopter parent, but you got to kind of
set some rules, right? If you notice that, I never had a problem with it. I have open practices. Parents can stay. Some parents are traveling a little way, so they don't want to leave, or I get it. Some literally sit there and watch. And then, as you said, sometimes I'm like, hey, can you jump in? I need an extra body on defense, right? We were short that day, right? So it does work out, and I get it. But again, if they're vocal, if I notice anything that the player is looking up to their parents after making a mistake, or if they're telling them to shoot the ball like they do in a game, then I will have a conversation with that parent to say, look, this is practice. It's not going to be perfect. We practice ugly, and it's supposed to look like this. And I'd really appreciate
we want
it
them to fail. This is a safe spot. And if you're doing that, this isn't a safe spot. So I think you're right, Coach, about sending clear and precise things. And I never had any problems, and you never had any problems. So everything I said earlier was about the assumption that people were just going to sit there and watch. But if it turns bad or does something like that, then it's not healthy for the other kids too. Like, correct, it's not just about the kid and the parent. It's about the other 9, 12 kids, whatever it is. You're not only worried about one, you're worried about them all. So, I think that's a big aspect of it too, personally. But again, I have no problem with someone coming in, and even at the high school level, we have our parent meeting at the beginning of the year, and I invite them all in. Half of them stand in the doorway. They don't really want to come in. The kids won't. What are you doing, Mom? Get out of here! Like, so again,
they don't. Kids don't want you there at the high school level. It's their time, their space. They want to have that independence. That's good for their
growth.
Good for their growth. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all of that. All right. Anything else, Coach?
Again, just to sum this up, I think it depends, right? I think if you're going to do it, set some boundaries. Let parents know, yes, we have open practices, but here are a few rules you need to abide by. And if you do have troubling parents, you need to have a conversation with, as Coach says, it's not just about that one parent to child relationship. It's that one parent to your whole team and how it affects the whole team. So
it's everybody. Yeah,
exactly.
Let's give one more big shout out to Curve.
Yeah, go check out Curve Health. Go to coachingyouthhoops.com/health for that special offer of getting a free assessment for you and your team. Again, gain that edge over the competition this year. Again, coachingyouthhoops.com/health.
All right. Till next week.
Till next week, Coach.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Lowe's knows you take pride in every project. So take on what's next today with a free Select Craftsman hedge trimmer or leaf blower when you buy a 20-volt push mower. That's a $119 value on reliable, high-performance Craftsman tools you trust. For the power to do it all, build, repair, restore, maintain, go with Craftsman. Available at Lowe's. We help. You save. Valid through 5/21 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.